What's going on, guys? I am up at Laguna Beach at my brother's house for the holidays, just hanging out, and woke up to quite the interesting tweet from Mike Matei, basically saying that if you use the rewind feature in video games, that you're not actually beating the game. And to a certain extent, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but the overall tweet tone came off as kind of YouTube elitist. Like, I'm better than you, and if you can't beat a game without using the rewind feature, that you're not allowed to say that you beat it. It's interesting. It's also very elementary, very childish. It reminds me of those schoolyard arguments that we used to have way back in like second grade, talking to our friends about, oh, I beat Legend of Zelda, oh, I beat Metroid, oh, I beat Mario 3, but I used Game Genie. Yeah, is that still considered beating the game? Depends on who you ask. There were a lot of NES games back in the day that I had no chance at beating if I didn't use Game Genie. And now, with the advent of technology and adding the rewind feature and save states and a whole bunch of other things to allow it a better and easier time for the player, it just seems silly to me that we get a tweet from someone who's very good at video games, Mike Matei, part of Cinemassacre, saying that people shouldn't be able to say they beat games if they had to use those features in the first place. It's a very interesting conversation. It's a very interesting topic, and it's really torn a lot of people in a lot of different directions. People have put their stakes in the ground on this conversation, and they are not moving from it. And then, like I said, it was elitist. You got JonTron coming in, basically backing up Mike Matei, saying that people shouldn't be able to say that they're enjoying their video games. Like, is this a joke at this point? I'm serious. I can't take these people seriously with their elitist mentality talking about video games and how people shouldn't be enjoying the video games they're playing. They have to sit there and grind through them. And if they can overcome the obstacles that were intended by the developers originally, then and only then can they say that they beat the video game. But outside of that, they're cheaters and they should feel terrible about it. Is this where we've come to as gamers? I'd like to think we're better than that. But these people, Mike Matei, JonTron, they are people who lead the YouTube community. These are people who have an audience. They are influencers. And with that in mind, they are basically telling people how it should be on playing video games. And they set the rules for it. And I'm not a big fan of that, especially when they take the stance that they're better than you. That's how I feel that tweet came off. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's just a tweet. People make sometimes tens or hundreds of them a day. So take it with a grain of salt. But the way it's blown up and the way Mike has backed himself up with it and the way people have come to his side and support him, a lot of very large YouTubers backing him up on this, it's just strange. It's like, it kind of proves that they're living in a bubble, that these people do not understand reality. They've gone so far on YouTube, gotten so much success, whether it's been from riding the coattails of someone else who's been successful or getting there on their own right. The fact is, they've gotten somewhere on YouTube, they've gotten an audience, and they are influencers. And now at this point, they're saying how you should be enjoying video games and how it should or should not count beating a video game based off of what they say. That's just crazy to me. That's absolutely bonkers. And the fact that people are actually hearing them out, listening and saying, yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from on this. It's even crazier to me that people can't enjoy these games themselves. It's a really sad state of affairs. I've had a lot of discussion on the Smash JT Facebook page about this. People, like I said, are very firm in their feelings on it. Most people are in my camp of disagreeing with Mike on this for the most part. Like I said, I can kind of see where he's coming from as far as the way the game's intended to be played and how it should be beaten from the perspective of competitive gameplay. Like, if you're in a competition or you're trying to beat how somebody else did something faster, like time trials, things like that, then yeah, obviously, if you're going to be using features like rewind and save states and Game Genie, then it compromises the integrity of the experience for competition. But if you're playing video games to enjoy them, then who's to say what beating a video game is? Honestly, it's up to you, how you feel about the game. If you beat the game by using save states or rewind feature, you still beat the game. You still played through the level, albeit you saved yourself a hell of a lot of time by getting back to the point that you already made it to, but you still did it. That's not cheating in the sense of skipping ahead. Now, I can see where they're coming from, like I said, when it comes to competitive play, when it comes to the integrity of being a really good video game player and doing it all in one shot and one go, then yeah, I can see where he's coming from. But outside of that, it just comes off as a very bad take, poor taste, an atrocious sounding, bubble-infused, elitist standpoint that nobody outside of the largest of large YouTubers can even comprehend where they're coming from. Not everyone has the kind of time that Mike Matei does to sit and play video games all day, every day, to be able to perfect them and beat them. Some of us have lives, and including myself now, have jobs, and I don't have the kind of time it takes to get to that point that requires the skill and precision to be able to beat these games like I used to be when I was a kid. So the ability to rewind and have save states is a godsend. And yes, I do consider it beating a game when I get through it. Regardless of how I got to those end credits that start rolling, if I see them, I beat the game. And some big YouTuber isn't going to tell me otherwise just because they're really good at video games and they do it the right way, that they're allowed to say what is and is not beating a video game. Now, if it was supposed to be taken as like a lighthearted tweet of this is how I feel, then okay, that's fine. But I didn't get that from it. It struck me as an elitist, I'm better than you, and get good, or stop saying that you beat video games. That's just crazy to me that someone would take that approach to a hobby that's supposed to be enjoyed, entertained, have fun with. We've completely lost our way as gamers.